why confident women get labeled as intimidating. What is actually happening underneath that label? The goal is to learn how to let your strength invite partnership instead of unwillingly, subconsciously blocking it. If you are here and you are live, go ahead and drop a hi or a hello in the chat. If you're watching this on replay, go ahead and drop the word replay, because we do come back and we do read your comments. Every time I come on, I say, today we have a really great topic for you. And I mean it. I'm not just saying that, like I absolutely mean it. And why today's topic, I just feels very important, is because many times, Michelle and I, in our work, we get this that I'm going to talk to you about a lot. We get this comment or this feedback that our clients are receiving a lot. And it's that they're getting feedback from people in their lives, whether it's people at work, family and friends, and sometimes even on dates, that they're coming across as intimidating. So tonight we're going to talk about something, what are some reasons why this might be happening, why the perception, remember, energy is real. And so when you're dating, when you're not just dating, but we're going to focus primarily on dating, when you're dating, when you're wanting to make connections with people, there's an energy that you radiate. And so the energy that you're radiating can either say, I'm approachable, I'm open to connecting, I'm in dating, I'm available, not with all the connotations that might jump into your head, meaning I'm available for conversation, I'm available to get to know you better and to allow you to get to know me better. So your energy is either saying I'm available and approachable, or it's saying I'm unavailable and unapproachable. One of the two is always happening. When you are dating, and to be clear, I'm speaking to a specific kind of woman. If this isn't you, then take what you want and leave the rest. But the majority of the women that we work with, they actually do want to be in a committed relationship that eventually leads to marriage. They want to be not just in a long-term relationship or in any kind of relationship. They really want it to be the kind of relationship that they're going to share their hearts, their lives, their experiences with the right man for the rest of their life. So if your energy is radiating, I'm unapproachable, I'm not available, keep away. Remember when we were little and people would put keep out on their clubhouse doors or on their bedroom doors, like that, you could inadvertently, subconsciously, unknowingly be saying that. So if you don't want to be saying that, stick around. Like I said, keep what resonates with you, leave the rest behind. And I invite you to be willing to be a little uncomfortable, because all the results that you've created so far in your life have been created inside of your comfort zone. So to create something new, something completely different from what you've been creating up until now, if it's not what you want, if the results you've been creating aren't what you want, then you sometimes have to give yourself some space to feel a little uncomfortable, so that discomfort actually allows you to see what you haven't been able to see until now, to hear what you haven't been able to hear until now, and to do what you haven't done until now. Okay, so if I've got your attention with that, good, lean in. You can go ahead and put a L for I'm leaning in the chat. And let me go ahead and jump in. So like I said, many times Michelle and I are talking to clients, or we're having an event, or even we're at an event, we're networking, and women will say, I get this feedback that either I've been told that I'm intimidating, or men say, well, it looks like you've got it all together, but for me, it's landing like it's a criticism, like I shouldn't have it all together. Or they're saying, I don't even see where I would fit into your life. And do I have to like dim down my power or not be who I really am? Like, what do I do? So usually when you're getting that kind of feedback, and if you have ever heard something around you come across as intimidating or unapproachable, you've gotten some feedback, maybe not those exact words, but something like that, controlling, overpowering. If you've heard anything like that, go ahead and put an I for intimidating in the chat. It just lets me know that this is even a relevant topic for you. Okay. So usually when a woman hears that kind of feedback, whether it's from a woman or a man, it creates some sort of internal confusion, because she wasn't trying to be intimidating. She wasn't doing anything to come across as overpowering or controlling. And then she's getting this feedback. She was just being herself. So tonight, what we want to clear up is that usually the real issue has nothing to do, because women will say, oh, men are intimidated by successful women. No, men are not intimidated by successful women. They're actually very inspired. They find it very alluring, very exciting, right? Like, wow, somebody who's strong, a confident woman. They're not intimidated by that. They're intimidated by control. Like if they feel that a woman's trying to control them, change them, or that she's sending out don't mess with me vibes, right? Like don't keep out vibes. So know that that kind of feedback has nothing to do with your success, your level of success, your ability to be in your power. It has nothing to do with your ambition. It has nothing to do with your standards. We're going to talk a little bit about standards tonight. In fact, most of the women in our community are exactly the kind of women that men say they want. They're successful women. They're emotionally aware, right? They're not afraid to self-reflect and uncover what might be in the way, like I invited you to do just a little bit ago. They're purpose driven. The women they come across as strong, right? That they can stand on their own 2 feet. And yet, for all of the strength and all of the ambition and all of the success, this area of love, dating, and relationships, it just feels harder than it should. It doesn't feel like it should have to be this hard. You've probably felt that way. We were all in a room and I asked you all to raise your hand and agree with me. If you don't think that it should be this hard, I would, because we've done this survey before, I would venture to say that 80% or more of the room would raise their hands. So tonight, what we're breaking down is why confident women get labeled as intimidating. What is actually happening underneath that label? What's making that be the perception of other people? And how to keep your power while also making space for the kind of partnership, to invite it in, to make space in your mind, your heart, your life, and also to not just have it be there, but welcome it in, embrace it, allow it to find you. Okay. Because remember, never, ever, ever, ever is the goal to shrink yourself in order to be loved, to change yourself, who you really are, in order to be loved. The goal is to learn how to let your strength invite partnership instead of unwillingly, subconsciously blocking it. Okay, so that's really what tonight's about. So, one of the most common patterns that we see with successful, high achieving women is, you've spent a lot of years becoming incredibly capable and self-sufficient, right? You make decisions, you make hard decisions, you solve problems, you handle things. As a matter of fact, often a lot of people come to you to help them solve their problems or resolve the issues that they're facing. At work, you may be the person that gets the toughest cases or deals, right? When I was a teacher, they would put the most difficult children in my class because they knew that I would be able to help them get results. So it's not uncommon, right? That energy is actually incredibly powerful. And it's very helpful in your career to be known as that person, right? It gives you a little bit of job security in a very insecure world. But sometimes that same energy, that very same energy, it shows up in a way, like in dating, it shows up in a way that unintentionally communicates something different. What it can be doing in date, specifically in dating and in relationships. I'm going to say relationships too, because I learned some of this while I was already married. I learned it the hard way because I almost messed up my marriage. So it can come across as the message is, I've got this handled. I don't need you. I don't need anybody. I got this, right? Now, I want to clarify, because I know I'm talking to you and the little voice in your head, that when I say I don't need you, you don't need someone to complete you. You don't need someone in order to be happy. But we as human beings were created to be in partnerships, in tribes. Think back to, from the time the world began, we're not created to be alone all the time. And so if you're sending out this message, particularly if what you want is partnership, but you're sending out this message, I don't need anybody, you're sending that stay away, even though there's a desire in your heart to share your life. So that sends a confusing message, a mixed message. And the man who is looking to be in a relationship, when he hears, like to meet somebody and eventually be in a relationship, when he senses, I'm not available, I don't need you, there's no room here for you, he will remove himself from the equation. Okay. So it's ironic, right? Because the women that are in, if you're watching this, right? Or if you come to our events, if you're one of our clients, you do, right? Many women say they do want to be in a partnership. They do want to be in a relationship. But what the men are feeling is energetically is something different. So it's not that it's not that they feel intimidated. It's that they feel unnecessary, unwanted, unwelcomed. That's different than intimidated. And when a man feels unnecessary, like I said, if he doesn't know how to participate or contribute in your life, he will remove himself from the equation, because healthy masculine energy wants to contribute, wants to provide, wants to please. It wants to build something together. And the healthy masculine wants to feel like it matters, like it actually can make a difference and contribute to your life. So if your energy says, I've already got it handled, there's nowhere, he doesn't see like a space for him to step in. So again, it's not that you're being too strong or that you're too intimidating. It's about there not being visible, energetic space for partnership, right? So don't stay quiet. Even though I know I'm talking, this isn't like passive participation. What's resonating? What are you hearing for yourself? Okay. Before we continue, I want to share something with you. Okay. So if you're listening to what I'm saying now and thinking, I keep hearing that I'm intimidating. I don't know why, or maybe you're noticing in what I'm saying, like stuff is clicking, and I warned you. I said it wasn't going to feel comfortable, right? Because you got to kind of like admit that you may be doing things to actually push love away. Or maybe you're noticing a pattern where men maybe at the beginning are very interested, but then they start to pull away, or relationships kind of stall and then they fall off, or you keep attracting men who feel intimidated, or men who seem insecure, right? If you're seeing any of those things in your life, that's exactly the kind of pattern that we help women identify. And it's what we not only to see it and have an aha moment, a moment of insight, but actually break it apart. And one of the places that we do that is in our love discovery sessions. So I actually see some names here. Thanks for those of you who are replying and commenting. I see some newer names, right? And so maybe you've never had a love discovery session where you've been able to actually come to a call with one of our coaches and actually say, you know what this is? I was actually on the love chat and I'm seeing that I may inadvertently be pushing men away. I either get the comment that I'm too intimidating, or men seem to pull away from me, or at first they seem very inspired by my confidence and my accomplishments, and then it feels like all of that turns around. If any of that sounds like something that you're going through, you can bring that to one of the love discovery sessions if you've never had one before. And then what our coach will do is they're going to help you look at those patterns, the dating patterns, the relationship patterns that you've been experiencing, and identify what's actually creating this dynamic. Meaning, this is what's happening. I'm giving you now some of the insight, but a lot of times there's something underneath it, like below the surface level. So what could actually be causing this? Maybe in the way that you're speaking, in the way that you're carrying yourself, in the way that you respond or reply to text messages, questions, conversations. So let's look at what's actually creating the dynamic, and then we show you how, like, what would you need to shift? Like, what are the steps that you can take to shift this dynamic so that you can, number one, attract a confident man who is able to energetically match you and meet you at your level as your equal, as your partner. Okay. So if that's something that you would like support with and you've never had an opportunity to speak to any of our coaches and you've never scheduled a call with us, you can go ahead and there's going to be a link dropped in the chat and you can click on that. Now, here's the thing. We run out of spaces. Even if you see a lot of spaces, because this is going to thousands of women, you might see a lot of spaces and then you come back and you won't see any. And then you'll be like all confused. Like, did they close them? No, it's that they get taken up. So if you know that you've never had that kind of conversation, go ahead and click on that link now and schedule a time. And my request is that you just keep your appointment, just like you would keep your dental appointment or your massage appointment, because our coaches, right, their time is valuable, your time is valuable. And when you take up a spot, it removes it for anybody else. Okay, so just remember, we're wanting to attract what kind of man? Commitment-minded men. Commitment-minded men honor their word. So we want to be women who honor our word. If I set an appointment, I'm going to keep it. And especially because of what you're going to get out of it, because your entire dating life your entire love life, if you're in a relationship, could completely change because of this. When I started to learn how to stop being the kind of, for me, it was being controlling and I thought I was being helpful. The thing is, my husband wasn't asking for help, but I kept offering all this unsolicited advice about what I would do differently, what he should do. And it was really tearing our relationship apart it got to the point where we couldn't be in a conversation that was longer than 5 minutes because it would end up in a fight. And what I didn't realize was that I was actually like, I was not magnetizing him. I was repelling. So this is an opportunity, a gift from us to you, that you can have this short conversation. And then if the coach feels like there's a way that we can help you, she'll absolutely let you know. Okay. So let me go to the next point. A lot of women have, like I said before, maybe you haven't been told that you're intimidating. Maybe you've heard this. You're just too picky. You're never going to find a man who is perfect, or you just need to lower your standards. Now, here's the thing. You're never going to find a man who's perfect. I'm just going to tell you that now because that's going to save you a lot of unnecessary pain, aggravation, and time, right? But maybe it's not that you're too picky. Maybe it's not. And maybe it's not. And it's absolutely not that you need to lower your standards. You never want to lower your standards. I completely disagree with if you've heard people say that. There is a difference between being too picky, which means you're setting a high, a long list of criteria that somebody wants to meet, versus having standards, which are based on your values, what you value, what you want to experience, and even the standards that you hold yourself to, right? So high standards don't repel healthy men. They simply filter out the ones that are unaligned. So when a woman is clear about who she is, what she wants to experience in her life, in her relationships, and what she's available for in a relationship, two things happen immediately when you get that level of clarity, which is why that discovery call is so important. Men who aren't aligned with that, they feel uncomfortable. And the second thing is that men who are aligned feel clear and they feel drawn towards you. So that's what I mean by what's not aligned will fall away. Who is aligned will actually be moving toward you versus away from you. So the right man doesn't shrink around your standards. The right man, the man who is a energetic match for you and the kind of life and the kind of relationship you want to have, he's going to rise to meet those standards. Not because it's criteria for him to follow, or criteria, excuse me, for him to meet, or rules for him to follow, but because you're demonstrating like who you are being, the woman you are being is a match for his standards too. And so you draw yourselves to one another. Okay, now here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, so stay with me. Sometimes women start hearing you're too intimidating from men who do feel threatened by your level of clarity, your level of certainty. So you have values and you have standards, you have boundaries for yourself, and you honor your boundaries. They could say that, right? Like you're coming across as intimidating, like you're trying to tell me what to do. And then those men start questioning themselves, or the woman starts questioning herself. So you might say to yourself, am I asking for too much? Like, am I wanting too much when I say like what I really want? Am I being too strong? Should I soften my standards? And my answer to that is no, you should not soften your standards. You want to honor and live by your standards so that you're consistently attracting people to you who are a match for that. So if you are questioning yourself, am I too strong? Let me seem like I'm not so high maintenance. Let me let it slide a little bit at the beginning. And then if we're together, then I'll let them know who I really am. What ends up happening is you start editing yourself. You start putting what we call like the persona. And those of you who were with us at the Beautifully You Challenge, you heard this, right? You start editing yourself to make other people comfortable. But what happens, and the truth about that, honestly, is that the label intimidating often says more about that man's readiness than it does about your energy. So a man who's secure, confident, mature, he's secure in himself, he doesn't feel threatened by a powerful woman. He feels very inspired by her. But if there's something that you're inadvertently emanating or radiating in your energy, then we're compelled to look a little bit deeper to see, okay, wait, I'm sending this mixed message. I do want to be in a relationship. I want to be in the right kind of relationship, not just any kind of relationship. But I keep getting this feedback that I'm just like coming across as someone who's too intimidating, controlling, too strong. Okay, so let's look at what's underneath that surface. Let's go a little bit deeper. A lot of women who are labeled as intimidating are not intimidating. They are, however, being guarded. There's some element of protection that's creating a barrier, because after enough disappointment, enough heartbreak, enough frustration, a woman actually naturally wants to protect herself. You don't want to keep experiencing that pain over and over again. I always say, really strong women, I happen to, I do believe that the people that you surround yourself with, it gives you who you are. Like I said, this isn't just work for men, like who you're attracting to your life. So I tend to, when I'm in business events, networking events, I tend to have very strong women, also strong women around me. So we kind of like navigate towards each other. And I say this a lot when I speak from the stage, that a lot of those women would rather lose $10,000 in a bad business deal than to have their heart broken and their time wasted one more time. Like that's the level of guardedness that there is. So it's natural to protect yourself from being hurt. You don't want to put yourself out there like a target, right? And what happens is that protection can show up as being in control. What do I mean? Like constantly controlling your emotions, controlling the conversation, controlling what happens and doesn't happen. Or you have very strong expectations that are disguised as boundaries. What's the difference, Gladys? You just told me that I need to have high standards and honor my boundaries 100%. A standard and a boundary is for me. An expectation is what I expect someone else to do, what I expect them, how I expect them to be and think and speak and choose. That is an act in futility, like the most wasted type of time and the most wasted type of energy. I can only control myself, my thoughts, my words, my actions, my way of being, and I hold myself to a standard, but I'm not expecting other people to show up a certain way, to do things a certain way, because then that becomes a set of rules. That's not the same as boundaries. Okay. Another thing that happens when I'm in this guarded, controlled way of being is there's very little vulnerability. Well, without vulnerability, I'm not saying share your whole entire life story and everything that's happened to you on the first date or even the 10th date. People, you got to get to know somebody to know if it's information you can trust that person with. But in order to create intimacy, real connection, I'm not talking about physical intimacy, I'm talking about emotional intimacy, soul level intimacy. You've got to let the guard down. You've got to let someone in. You've got to let them see who you are and that you don't have it all together all the time, right? That sometimes you're a hot mess, and that's okay, because that hot mess is lovable too, right? So when you don't allow people to see who you really are, it's impossible to create real connection. So if you're constantly putting on this facade that you've got it all together, you don't need anyone, you don't need anything, like I said, it sends the men a message that you're not approachable, there's no space for them, but you're also guarding yourself. And then the other thing is not letting people see when something matters to you, or when something hurts you, or when something excites you. Like you're just not allowing people to really see who you are. So from the outside, if you're always put together and gathered, and I'm doing this thing, like like there's a stick, I didn't say there, like on my back, like you're just like rigid and there's just no flexibility, what's happening is that it comes across as intensity, and intensity can be intimidating. Okay. But underneath, when you go underneath the surface, all it is self-protection. And there's nothing wrong with protecting your heart. But if the walls if the walls are too strong and they stay up too long, they don't just block out the wrong men. They also block out the right ones. So the real work becomes, it isn't about becoming less powerful. It's about learning how to let the right man see you, see your vulnerability, your humanity, that soft side of you. And then he can see that beautiful combination of the strength and the softness that is very, very, very highly magnetic and attractive to men. Okay, that's where real connection begins. So again, if you've ever been told, what, you're intimidating, you come across like, I used to tell my clients it's a no vacancy sign. Stay away, stay away. There's no vacancy. I want you to hear me. You are not too much. You are not too strong, and you do not need to shrink your success, your voice, your standards, none of that in order to be loved. But what you do need to have is clarity around how to hold your power while also allowing space for connection, for partnership to come into your life. And like I said before, that's exactly what we help women do in our love discovery sessions. We help you see what might be a blind spot. What might you be doing that's actually pushing men away, like pushing the good guys and the bad guys away? And it's not giving you a chance to actually experience love, partnership, and connection. Okay, so if you're ready to stop wondering why certain patterns keep showing up in your love life, why you keep hearing a specific type of feedback, why it doesn't matter if you're with a different person, the same patterns show up, then you absolutely want to go ahead and click on the link, schedule. Like I said before, it might look like there's a lot of times available now. They do get taken very quickly. And again, if you've already had a love discovery session, I wouldn't schedule one now, because then that takes the time, unless you're somebody who has had a conversation with a love breakthrough coach and you now want to take your next step. That would be perfectly fine. Just put that in that there's a place where you can actually type what you want to talk about. I would put that there. Okay. So I want to thank you for being with me tonight. I want you to remember that the goal is not to become someone different or to change who you are authentically. It's to align who you are with the kind of relationship you truly want to be in, the kind of love you want to experience for the rest of your life. Okay, so thank you so much for your time and attention, for being here with me tonight. And look, if you know another incredible woman, you probably know at least one, but I'm sure you know a few, who's ever been told that she's intimidating, go ahead and hit the share arrow so that you can send this video to her so that she can watch it. And who knows, you might, without even intending it, make a difference in somebody's life that you didn't even know you can make, because she's going to probably schedule a love discovery session and have her love life change too, right? So love is about generosity, it's about contribution, and it's about being the love you want to see. So go ahead and share the love with someone in your life, and we will see you again next week for Love Chat with the Love Twins. For tonight, be well, love yourself, be kind and generous with yourself, and until our hearts meet again, always remember that you are loved. Bye for now.